You ever think you're smarter than physics? Seriously, ever look at a problem and think, yeah, the experts say do it this way, but I've got a better idea? That's where this starts. That split second when ego whispers that safety rules don't apply to you. Smart people, creative people, the outside-the-box thinkers. But here's the thing about physics. The box exists for a reason, and 12 men once thought they were smarter than that box. They weren't. 1. The man who knew better than engineers. Ohio. Suburban backyard. A guy named Arthur. Now Arthur, and I want you to picture this guy. Arthur wasn't stupid. He had a job, paid his bills, functioning member of society. But Arthur had something more dangerous than stupidity. He had confidence. See, Arthur looked at his overgrown bushes and thought, I don't need a hedge trimmer. That's what sheep use. I'm an innovator. You know what he used instead? An angle grinder. Hold on, let me explain what an angle grinder is for those of you who've never seen one. It's a handheld demon that spins discs at 11,000 RPM to cut through steel. Steel, not bushes, not wood, metal. But Arthur found this, let's call it an accessory, a circular saw blade with chainsaw teeth designed to fit on the grinder. Safety experts took one look at this thing and said, absolutely not. Uncontrollable. Dangerous. Don't. Arthur heard that and thought, challenge accepted. Here's where the ego really kicks in. The blade was too big for the safety guard. Most people would stop right there. Not Arthur. He removed the guard completely. And before you ask, yes, he knew what he was doing. This wasn't ignorance. This was ego saying, I don't need protection. I'm careful. He fired it up. That sound? You know the sound I'm talking about? That high-pitched scream that makes your teeth hurt? That's the machine begging you not to do this. Arthur ignored it. Shoved that spinning nightmare straight into hardwood. Now, here's a question for you. Do you know what reactive force is? Because Arthur was about to get a very personal demonstration. When the blade hit wood, it didn't cut, it grabbed, stopped dead. But that motor, still spinning at 11,000 RPM. All that energy had to go somewhere. Guess where it went? The grinder kicked back, violently, ripped from his hands. And because there was no safety guard, because Arthur's ego said he didn't need it, there was nothing between that blade and his neck. I'll let you imagine the rest. Actually, no. You don't have to imagine. His wife found him 20 minutes later. The grinder was still running, still buzzing in the grass like it was waiting for someone else to pick it up. So let me ask you something. Was Arthur stupid, or was he just so confident in his own abilities that he forgot machines don't care about confidence? Think about that. The reality check. Every safety feature you bypass is a bet you're making with physics. And physics? Physics never loses. 2. The genius who outsmarted chemistry. Michigan, Christmas Eve. Steve's got a problem. His Camaro's in pieces, engine parts everywhere, covered in grease. My family is coming tomorrow. My wife's already annoyed. Most guys would grab some degreaser and start scrubbing, right? Long job. Tedious, but effective. Not Steve. Steve had a better idea. He looked at his dishwasher, and I'm watching you right now. I can see some of you already shaking your heads because you know where this is going. He looked at that dishwasher and his ego said, I'm a problem solver. I think differently. He loaded engine parts into the dishwasher like they were dinner plates. But wait, it gets better. Because Steve knew dish soap wouldn't cut it. He needed something stronger, something that could really break down that grease. So he poured in 2 gallons of gasoline. 2 gallons. Then, and this is the part where I want you to really appreciate the ego involved here, he selected the heated dry cycle. Are you getting this? Gasoline. Sealed metal box. Heating element. Steve walked away, cracked a beer, and turned on the football. Probably felt pretty smart about his life hack. Inside that dishwasher, something was happening. Something that any high school chemistry student could have predicted. Hot water vaporizes gasoline, creating a fuel-air mixture. Perfect proportions. Basically a bomb waiting for ignition. When that heating element turned on, it created a spark in an atmosphere of pure explosive potential. The explosion, and I'm not exaggerating, lifted his roof off the foundation, blew out every window in the neighborhood, launched the dishwasher door through 2 walls. Steve never finished watching that game. And here's my question for you. At what point do we cross the line from creative thinking to catastrophic stupidity? Because Steve thought he was being efficient, innovative, smart. The universe disagreed. With finality. The reality check. Chemistry doesn't care about your deadline. It doesn't negotiate. It doesn't make exceptions for creative problem solvers. 3. The driver who refused to admit defeat. West Texas, Interstate 10, Brody. The steering wheel breaks off in his hands, just snaps. Clean break. Now, what would you do in that situation? I'm genuinely asking. You're doing 75 on the highway. The steering wheel comes off. What's your move? Most people panic, brake, coast to the shoulder, call for help. Brody, vice grips. He pulled out a pair of locking pliers, clamped them onto the steering shaft, and thought, problem solved. Actually, no. He thought more than that. He thought, problem solved, and I'm a genius who doesn't need to waste time pulling over. So he merged back into traffic. Let that sink in. 75 miles per hour. Steering a 2-ton vehicle with a 6-inch hand tool designed for holding pipes. For 20 miles, it worked. And I bet, during those 20 miles, Brody's ego was having a party. See? Who needs a steering wheel? Not me. I'm resourceful. Then came a curve. Simple physics question for you. What holds vice grips in place? Friction, right? Just friction. Hardened steel teeth pressing against hardened steel shafts. Now, what happens when you need to apply serious torque against road resistance at 75 miles per hour? The teeth slipped. Brody's hand jerked left. The shaft didn't move. The car continued straight. Straight off the road. Straight into a ditch. Straight into a rolling, tumbling, metal-crushing nightmare. They found him still in the driver's seat, vice grips on the floor. And you know what kills me about this? He almost made it. 20 miles of successful improvisation before physics called his bluff. So here's my question. Was it ego that killed him? Or was it that moment 20 miles earlier when success validated his decision? When the universe let him think he was right? The reality check. Sometimes physics lets you get away with it. Once, twice, 20 miles. Then it collects with interest. 4. The bargain hunter's last deal. Kyle wanted to slackline. You know that sport where you balance on a rope between trees? Professional equipment, $80. Kyle's ego. That's a scam. I can do this cheaper. He bought a cargo ratchet strap for $12. Industrial, yellow, heavy duty. If it can hold a pallet of bricks, it can hold me. You see the logic there? On the surface, it makes sense. Strong strap, hold weight, should work. But here's what Kyle's ego didn't account for. The difference between static and dynamic loads. And let me ask you this, because I'm genuinely curious. How many of you know what that means? Static versus dynamic. Static, holding still things. Dynamic, absorbing motion, shock, impact. This strap was designed to do one. Kyle needed it to do the other. He strung it between the two trees, cranked it tight, like guitar string tight, storing thousands of pounds of tension in that mechanism. Stepped on, bounced, jumped. His full weight, plus gravitational acceleration slammed into a strap with zero elasticity. All that energy transferred straight to the weakest point, the ratchet mechanism. The pin sheared, instant. And when a strap under that much tension snaps, the metal buckle doesn't just fall. It becomes a projectile. 2 pounds of jagged steel, moving at ballistic velocity, straight back toward the center point, where Kyle's head was. He saved $68 on proper equipment. You think that was worth it? The reality check. There's a reason professional equipment costs more. It's called engineering, and engineering is the difference between saving money and saving your life. 5. The DIY mechanic's final project. Derek, car suspension, spring replacement. Springs are dangerous, like seriously dangerous. They store massive amounts of mechanical energy. Professionals use spring compressors, hardened steel clamps designed to contain that violence. Derek looked at the price and laughed. I'm not paying for that. You know what he used instead? Zip ties, plastic zip ties. Not 1, not 10, 50 of them. Wrapped around that coiled spring like he was gift wrapping death. And here's where the ego really shines. He stepped back, looked at his work, and said, I kid you not, that ain't going nowhere. Famous last words. He put it on his workbench, started loosening the top nut. And I want you to think about what's happening here. All that stored energy, all that compressed violence is being held back by plastic. Office supply store plastic. As he turned the wrench, the load transferred. The zip ties started stretching, making this high-pitched whine, polymers screaming. Derek heard it. He had to have heard it. But ego said, "No, you got this, you're smart. You planned this out." He spun the nut off completely. For one beautiful, terrible millisecond, the plastic held. Then it didn't. Cascade failure. Every zip tie snapping in sequence. The spring expanded from 12 inches to 20 in a blink. The steel top plate launched straight up. Derek's face was right there. I don't need to tell you what happened next, you already know. So let me ask you, at what point should Derek have stopped? When he first saw the price of the proper tool? When he was wrapping the 50th zip tie? When he heard the plastic screaming? Or was it always going to end this way the moment his ego said, "I know better"? The reality check. 50 weak things don't equal one strong thing. That's not how physics works. That's now how any of this works. 6. The multitasker's last bottle. Travis. Interstate, 70 miles per hour. Thirsty. Grabbed a glass-bottled soda. Non-twist cap. No opener. Normal person. Wait for a rest stop. Travis. I'm resourceful. I got this. He looked at his seatbelt buckle. Metal tongue. It looked like a lever. To use it, he'd have it to unbuckle. And here's where I want to pause and ask you something. Have you ever unbuckled your seatbelt while driving, just for a second? To grab something from the back seat? To adjust your shirt? Be honest. Because Travis thought, just for a second, what could happen? He clicked the release. Belt retracted. 2 hands off the wheel. Looking down, focused on opening this bottle. 3 seconds. That's all it took. 3 seconds of not driving. He got the cap off, soda foamed, splashed his lap. Cold. Startling. His knee jerked, hit the wheel. The car swerved toward concrete. Travis panicked, slammed the brakes. But here's the thing about seatbelts that Travis forgot. They're not just for crashes. They're for keeping you in position during sudden deceleration. The car stopped. Travis didn't. He continued at 70 miles per hour through the windshield. Into the sky, human projectile. Landed 100 feet down the road. The bottle survived, still half full, found in the footwell, unbroken. So riddle me this. What was Travis really dying for? The soda? Or the ego that said, I can multitask, I can handle this, I don't need to wait? The reality check. Seatbelts only work when worn. That's not a suggestion. That's physics. And physics doesn't do second chances at 70 miles per hour. 7. The handyman who wouldn't walk. Wyatt. Fixing a board on his shed. Had the nail. Had the board. I had determination. Didn't have his hammer. It was in the garage, 35 feet away. And Wyatt's ego said, 35 feet? That's basically a marathon. I'm not walking that far. So he looked at his hip, at his loaded .45 caliber pistol, and thought, and I need you to really appreciate this leap of logic, metal is hard. Hammers are metal. Guns are metal. Same thing. He drew his loaded firearm, flipped it around, gripped the barrel, lined up the grip with the nail. First hit. Nail moved a fraction. Success. Ego. See? I'm a genius. This is working. Second hit. Harder. More force. More confidence. When you slam a gun into a solid surface, the frame stops. But the internal mechanisms, the slide, the sear, the trigger assembly, they want to keep moving. Inertia. The shock tripped something. Maybe the sear. Maybe his finger slipped into the trigger guard during the awkward reverse grip. Doesn't matter. The gun fired, barrel pointed at his own abdomen, point-blank range. Wyatt collapsed against the shed. The nail was still sticking out, still needed one more hit. And here's my question for you. What was he really trying to save? 35 feet of walking, 5 seconds of time? Because those 5 seconds cost him everything. The reality check. Firearms are designed to fire. That's their purpose. Using them as hammers doesn't make you innovative. It makes you dead. 8. The action hero. Brendan. Trapped in his bedroom. Door broken. Phone downstairs. 20-foot drop to concrete patio. Most people, wait, maybe kick the door. It's hollow core. Easy to break through. Brendan? Nah. He watched too many spy movies, saw himself as tactical, resourceful. He looked at the coaxial cable running to his TV. Thick, black, it looked like a rope. Ego said, I got this. I like Mission Impossible. Reality said, that's a TV cable, not a climbing rope. He tied it to the radiator, wrapped it around his waist, climbed out the window. Committed his full weight. One glorious second of feeling like James Bond. Then the copper snapped. TV cables aren't load-bearing, they're designed to carry electrical signals. Copper has terrible tensile strength. 20-foot drop, acceleration, impact. They found him hours later, cable still wrapped around his waist. And you know what's killing me about this? The door he was locked behind? Hollow core particle board. He could have punched through it in 30 seconds. But his ego wanted the dramatic escape, the cool story, the action movie moment. Instead, he got a closed casket. So tell me, is it ego when you choose the dangerous solution over the simple one because the dangerous one makes you feel more capable? The reality check. Looking like rope doesn't make it rope. Materials have properties. Know them, or gravity will teach you. 9. The farmer who knew better. Farmer Joe. Flat tractor tire, trying to seat the bead. Old farmer trick. Spray starting fluid inside, light it. A small explosion seats the bead. Keyword, small. But Joe's ego said, if a little works, a lot works better. He emptied the entire can. Created a pool of volatile liquid inside that tire. And here's where I want to stop and ask, have you ever done this? Thought, more is better? Double the detergent? Extra fertilizer? Maximum volume? Because that impulse, that ego-driven more equals success mentality, it killed Joe. He leaned over the tire, lit a match, dropped it. The explosion wasn't small, it was catastrophic. Launched the 100-pound steel rim straight up into Joe's face. Because he was leaning over it, watching, making sure his plan worked. The tire sat perfectly, job done. But Joe wasn't there to appreciate it. So riddle me this, when does more become too much? When does enthusiasm become fatal? The reality check. Chemistry doesn't scale linearly. Double the fuel doesn't mean double the result. It means exponential. It means bomb. 10. The efficiency expert. Greg. Painting a fence. Long job. Boring. Repetitive. Climb ladder. Paint. Descend. Move ladder. Repeat. His ego said, there's got to be a better way. He put a ladder in his truck bed. Unstrapped. Climbed to the top. Told his wife to drive slowly while he painted. Mobile platform. Revolutionary, stupid. Because here's what Greg's ego didn't account for. Leverage. A ladder in a truck bed amplifies every motion. 1-inch bump becomes 2-foot sway. The truck hit a small pothole. Nothing, barely noticeable. To the ladder? Earthquake. Greg launched. Over to the truck side, over the fence, head first into concrete. 5 minutes saved. Everything is lost. And here's my final question for you. Was Greg's ego trying to be efficient? Or was it trying to prove he was smarter than everyone else who did it the slow, safe way? The reality check. Shortcuts save time only if you survive. Efficiency means nothing when you're dead. 11. The man who didn't need a harness. Colorado. Early fall. Perfect weather. Ryan was installing Christmas lights early because he liked to be ahead of things. 2-story house, steep roof, about 25 feet up. Now here's the thing. Ryan owned a safety harness. It was in the garage, still in the box. He bought it after his neighbor slipped the year before. But ego has a funny way of rewriting risk. It'll take longer to put that thing on. I'm only going to be up there for a minute. I've done this before. Have you ever said that? I've done this before. That's ego's favorite sentence. He set the ladder, climbed up, stepped onto the shingles. No harness, no anchor line, just sneakers and confidence. And for a while, it was fine. He moved slowly, carefully, hooked a strand, adjusted another, felt competent, balanced. Then he stepped on a patch of morning frost still hiding in the shade of the chimney. Just a thin film, invisible from above. And here's the brutal thing about slipping at 25 feet. There's no recovery phase. There's no dramatic scrambling. No movie moment where you grab the gutter and save yourself. Your center of gravity shifts. Your feet leave traction. And gravity does what it has done for 13.8 billion years. Ryan slid. His hands clawed at shingles. Nails snapped, fingers scraped. He went over the edge. No harness, no rope, no second chance. He landed on the concrete driveway below. Lights still clipped neatly along the roofline above him. You know what hurts the most about this one? The harness was still in the box, receipt taped to the side. So here's my question. When does "I'll be careful" stop being a plan? Because careful isn't a safety system. It's a feeling. And feelings don't override gravity. The reality check. If you're high enough to die, you're high enough to tie in. Confidence is not fall protection. 12. The man who outran the train. California desert. Long, straight stretch of road. Railroad crossing. No gates, just lights and a bell. Mark was late. Late for work, late for everything, according to his wife, but today especially. He saw the flashing red lights start up ahead. Now pause right there. This is the fork in the road. Literally. Most drivers slow down. Stop. Wait the 2 minutes. But ego? Ego calculates. How far away is it? I can make it. It's moving slow. Have you ever done that mental math? Estimated speed and distance like you're some kind of physics prodigy? Mark did. He accelerated. And here's the thing about trains that ego always forgets. They look slower than they are. The scale tricks you. They're massive, distant, deceptive. But they're moving at highway speed. Mark hit the gas harder, engine screaming, tires whining. For one split second, it looked like he was going to clear it. That's the cruel part. It almost looked like he'd win. The front of his car crossed the first rail. The horn blasted, a sound so deep it vibrates your chest. Then steel met steel. A freight train weighs thousands of tons. Your car weighs maybe 2. Guess which one adjusts course? The impact spun his vehicle like it was made of paper, pushed it down the track, crushed metal like aluminum foil. The train took nearly a mile to stop. A mile. Because physics doesn't care if you're late. So let me ask you, what was Mark really racing? The train? Or the idea that he could beat something bigger than himself? The reality check. You cannot outrun something that doesn't have to stop for you. Mass wins. Momentum wins. Ego loses. So let me bring this full circle. Remember my opening question? Do you ever think you're smarter than physics? Because every single one of these men did. Every one of them looked at a problem, saw the proper solution, and said, "Nah, I got a better way." They removed safety guards, used wrong materials, skipped steps, substituted tools, trusted their judgment over decades of engineering. Their ego said, "I'm special, I'm different, I'm careful, I'm smart." Physics said, "Prove it." They couldn't. And here's the thing that keeps me up at night. How many of you watching this right now are doing the same thing? Not with angle grinders or dishwashers, but with something, some shortcuts, some I know better moments. Because ego doesn't announce itself. It doesn't say, "I'm about to get you killed." It says, "You're smart enough to handle this." It says, "Other people need those safety features, not you." It says, "Just this once." And then you're a statistic. So here's my challenge to you. Think about that one thing you do. That one shortcut. That one moment where you think, "I got this," despite knowing the proper way. Is it worth it? Is your ego worth more than your life? Because I just showed you 10 men who bet their lives on their ego. And they all lost. Every single one. Now tell me in the comments, which story is different for you? The gun hammer, the dishwasher bomb, the zip tie mechanic? Vote, debate, discuss. Just don't become case number 11. Because I really don't want to make that video. Stay safe, stay humble, and for the love of everything, use the right damn tool.